attending this means you might have some kind of difficulty either in writing for either whatever is the article, maybe seminar reports or research papers, theses, synopsis, especially in formatting. Some are fond of using LaTeX because some journals do prescribe LaTeX templates, and but some guides do prefer MS Word because of maybe the ease of usage, or you don't have to code anything. Whatever you type is whatever you see. But in LaTeX, what you type is not what you see. So there, of course, there are different preferences. So what we'll be doing in this presentation is first I will walk you down through some basic concepts. We may not call it as concepts, so don't get like this is another academic session. It's completely informal. So some of the key things that we need to know, which can enable you to create your own templates for whatever is the use case, either for our academic work or if you want to. Basically, with this knowledge, you can even write any article, even up to a textbook. Everything, whatever you require, is will be covered. And the same formatting also applies if you are trying to make some kind of professional softwares. For example, if you are doing some kind of routine work, let's say in my case, I get some raw data from experimental, some raw data given by somebody. I need to process it and I have to give a report with so many figures and this and that, which might kind of get complicated. So you can create a Word template once for all and ask MATLAB to fill up all those with figures or text or equations, whatever it is. It is possible. It kind of saves a lot of job. Just click one button and it does everything for you. So even that is possible with Microsoft Word. It has a lot of features. Most of them are not known. So we'll explore some of them here. Okay. I have good number of participants. Just to share my screen. So is my screen visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yes, sir.
So first we'll give you a short presentation. Then I hope people have got the template files for the basically MS PhD thesis, synopsis, and also department specific reports. Department specific reports, they do not have any specific guidelines. So those are just templates. Depending upon your requirement, you can always edit the templates.
So where can I get the department specific things?
I think Vamika, you can answer that. Just hold on.
Yeah, so we have attached a folder in the email itself with a link to the IIT Madras templates and department specific templates. So the template we have attached is for ED department. You can use it as a framework and ask someone from your department like what needs to be changed or is there anything that requires to be changed. That will give you a good framework as a starting point.
Okay, thanks, Vamika.
Cool. Krishna, you can continue, I guess.
Yeah. So uh, so the templates you can get it, and I'll walk you down through the thesis template for now. All the templates follow the same procedure. They do not have any difference. Just the title page and some of the content will vary, but other the usage is all the same. Anyway, once we go there, it will be clear. So the presentation is organized in 6 categories. First, I will walk you through how can you lay out the page sizes, so on. Then a lot of people have difficulties with equations because you might see in Word that you need to pick and place via mouse, which kind of get tedious, especially when you write academic articles. So there's a possibility to write like LaTeX, which kind of simplifies things a lot. And also apart from that, there are some people also find difficult for numbering them. So that is also addressed. I'll let you know how that is addressed. Then figures and tables. This is one of the most commonly asked things. I place a figure somewhere in my Word document. Tomorrow I open it, it goes all over the place. Why it happens and few ways to adjust them, and also how do we utilize that in our template. Then there are breaks. Some of you are familiar with LaTeX. You might know some. They are called page breaks. There are similar things in Word. Not only page breaks, there are multiple breaks available. So I'll walk you down through some of them. This also contains how do you make a certain page to landscape. So some of you in your research papers or thesis, you might have a very big table which cannot fit on a portrait page. You need a landscape page, and you need to rotate only that page. So that will be covered. Then table of contents. Our thesis has given certain kind of table of contents. But if you want to modify or kind of have something else on your own, how do you format them? How do you put them? Table of contents, table of figures, or maybe whatever is the reference. Typically, we see contents, figures, and tables, but you can add something else, whatever you want extra. Finally, you'll see some icing on the cake, some few tips which can help you work better with the Word. So let's get started. So all the things that are required for layout are basically present under the tab layout. And you can either choose from this or you can directly, most of these tabs, they have a small button at the bottom. You can see it's a drop down arrow kind of thing. So once you open that, you can see a lot more options to which gives you a lot of flexibility basically. So this I'm walking you through a template similar to our thesis. So all of them will be similar to that. Basically, I have A4 page, margins, top left, right bottom. So these numbers again you can find in our website also. So those are exactly given there. And they apply it to the whole document. So all your pages in your document are of the same page, of the same size basically, and also of the same margins. If you want certain sections to have different margins, we insert a section break, which I'll tell you how to insert a section break. And you can change the size only for that particular section. For example, our title page has wider or narrower margins compared to other text pages. So just select the title page, create a section break, and you can reduce the margin widths. Then some of your research articles might require line numbers. So again, in the layout, same this drop down layout. If you go for line numbers, you have line numbers. So you can continue on every page, or basically you can choose whatever you want, however you want to choose your line numbers. Then text designing, you can, by default, Word gives certain reference text designs. You can always choose them. By design here, I mean the font size, its spacing above and below, spacing in a paragraph, spacing at the end of a paragraph, bulleting, all kinds of stuff. You can either manually choose them or create one here and use it wherever you want, or just modify already given ones. So our mainly I'm creating for the normal text. So some names are keywords. Like in any programming language, you have certain keywords which cannot be mixed with anything else. So normal is a keyword which applies to default text body. And I've given it as 12 times to Raman and other things, whatever you want to do here. So this is the line spacing within a paragraph. That is what is this line spacing here. So that is here. This determines the spacing below and above the paragraphs. So typically you see points. So this points means if you have a normal size of 12, 12 points account to that size. That is single line width. If you have 24 points means it is double line width. If your normal size is 10, it will be 10 and 20. Single line will be 10, double line will be 20. So that is the calculation how it is done. You can also put the alignment, basically justified left or right or centered, those things. So headings again, we have the all caps because the chapter number needs to be all caps. So even if you type it as small caps, it will automatically put up in all caps. So that you can find again here itself. In this text design itself, you can find that. Then 12 points is spacing above and below. Then no special intervention, it should be centered. So all those things you put. So choose them here directly. Then heading 2, of course it says heading 2 because heading 1 is taken by the chapter heading. Heading 2 is the first level of heading which you use in your document. So again, according to guidelines, it needs to be all caps. So I gave it as all caps. The font size is given 1.5 line spacing, and above and below you do not require. So similarly, heading 3, heading 4, and then heading beyond that you generally don't use. Even 4 itself is a big one. You don't use up to 3rd. Just 1 and 2 are more than sufficient. 3rd is in case if you require. Okay, now up to here it is fine. You have given bold, you have given the size, font size, whatever is the font and so on. But how to give chapter number? Okay, you can manually type chapter 1, the chapter introduction, continue, then chapter 2 introduce it. But what if you have to introduce something else between chapter 1 and chapter 2 and call it as chapter 2? And the worst part is once you finish your whole thesis or something and you want to come back and change, you need to change 3, 4, 5 after that later. So better is to have a automatic numbering. So manual is obviously a headache. In style you can do, but again that is a headache because whenever you change styles, that will cause an issue. So put directly within the text design itself, chapter number. And when you want the chapter number to be included within your headings, you can use multi-lists. So multi-lists is, once you go here, all of you know that you can put bullets or numbering from here. Below that, you have 1.1 heading, 1.1.1. So these are called multi-level lists. Once you select this and you give numbering to the first heading, the second level heading will inherit the numbering from the heading 1. So heading 2 will be 1.1, then 1.2. If you change chapter or the level 1 heading, it will be 2.1, 2.2, so on. If you insert a chapter in between, all the numbers will automatically get adjusted. You do not have to worry about it. It's just once you make the template, everything rolls out very soon. There is one more very useful feature called auto text. Auto text, basically you do something which you might have to repeat it multiple times. Select that and go to insert, quick parts and auto text. You can save it to gallery. Now, if you observe this chapter 1 is not a text, it basically comes from the design. So next time when you go to insert, auto text and chapter, you will not paste chapter 1. It will come as chapter 2 because chapter 1 is already put up before. What I basically say is if you have a sequence saved in the gallery, the sequencing will continue. It is not a static one. Whatever you save is a dynamic one. And sometimes the chapters need to start on a new page. So while designing itself, you can tell page a break before that. You do not have to manually create a new page. I see many people keeping on press the enter button till the next page comes and then start writing. But what happens if you enter a text in the previous page? this chapter moves down. Chapter heading will go down. So all these things are there. So better is insert a page break directly in the heading itself. So whenever you insert a heading, it goes to a fresh new page. If you type something before that, it will not affect your chapter heading page. And you also have something called field codes. I'll come to this in more details in coming slides, but I want to introduce that here because we want some other kind of chaptering. I mean, the numbering of headings and which you may not find. You can use sequences. Sequence is again a keyword. And so select this, a sequence will come. Then you give it a basic label. Chap is a label for chapter. You can use something else, some random number, random label. So whenever you insert this sequence anywhere, checks the previous one. If it is 1, it will put 2. If it is 2, it will put 3. So sequence will keep on running. If you carefully look, even the numbering created from here also will have the same sequencing with labels inbuilt given. You also have option to do it manually and store it. Next time when you use it, the numbers will dynamically change. So that basically summarizes the layout part. Am I going too fast or people are comfortable? Have any queries until now? Nobody? No feedback? Nothing?
Yeah, actually, I was suggesting to try along with you. Only then we'll get doubts. I think Pradeep Vilango has raised his hand.
Yes, I mean, you can start doing this once I come to the Word template, so it might be easier because now creating a template might take you some time.
Okay. Yeah, Pradeep Vilango wants to ask.
Yeah, which version is this? Is it Office 365?
Whatever I'm showing works with 2019 and above. So Office 365 is always the latest one.
Okay.
2016 you can use, but the equations you cannot put it in LaTeX. Rest other things will work. Even 2013 also it will work. But in 13 and 16, the implementation of LaTeX is not complete. 13 they have started, 16 is intermediate. From 19 onwards, it is good.
Okay. And do we have license from our institute or?
No, we do not have.
Okay.
The only thing from Microsoft Office you can get using our institute email ID is 1 TB of online OneDrive storage. Of course, you can sync it on your any number of your computers, but that is all we get currently. Okay, so if there are no more, we'll go to equations. So this is the traditional way of equations which most people are familiar with. Go to insert an equation, then go to design and pick and place every one of them, which is very, very tedious. Previously, they had an implementation using Unicode, but again, that was cumbersome. You need to know a Unicode language, which makes it basically cumbersome. Now, starting 2019 and above, you have the full integration of LaTeX. So here you see I've typed in LaTeX format. Then here you can just left click, it will give an option. And if you click on professional, it will make you the equation complete. I mean, it will put the equation in this form. If it is linear, it will be in text form, which it will be like this. You can type all the equations in linear and once for all hit all professional. So all the equations in your document will be converted to professional at once. I mean, that is your convenience, but there's an option to do all at once or individually once. That's one. So this is kind of one of the very big advantages now. Because you don't have to worry much about how do you type equations. Then if you want to, I mean, there's a shortcut. If you press Alt plus Enter, you can insert the equation right at that point. And the equation has two types, either inline, So this is called an inline equation, which is inline with the, of course, as the name goes, it is inline with the text. Or if you want to display it separately. When you display it separately, it looks more comfortable. The spacing gets comfortably adjusted. Here, some kind of things will get compressed depending upon your line spacing and other things. And the other important part is this numbering. How do I get the numbering? Some people are familiar with figures. You just right click, insert caption, it inserts a caption. For equation, how do you do? Well, there's an easier way to do it. So first create a blank template. How do you create this? Just insert a table. The front part, I created with 3 columns. I usually leave the front part, so it gives some kind of room if I want to put something extra, or it looks basically neater. In the center part, I put the equation. Here I will put the numbering. So go to captions, insert a general caption. You can change a label, so put it as equation label. If you want chapter numbers, go to numbering and also include a chapter number. Then give OK, number will appear here. If you want to type any equation, type it or just leave it as blank. Then select, you can remove these borders. Go to table and remove the borders. Copy this, right? Do not have to copy, just select it. Use the auto text. Auto text plays very, very handy in many of the situations. One thing is here. Select it, go to insert, quick parts, save selection to gallery. And you can give it some name, maybe equation level 1. You save it. Next time when you insert, you can have a place to type equation, and this numbering gets automatically updated. We have, let us say, inserted 3 equations, and in between 1 and 2, insert one more. First one will be 1, second one will be 2, third one will automatically change to 3 from 2. Fourth one will change from 3 to 4 automatically. Things are automatic. In case your system might be slow, but whatever is the reasons, if they do not get updated, you can manually update by right click. I'll show that when we go to the Word document, or just for procedure's sake. Go to the number, right click and update. It will get updated. If you want to update the whole document at once, Control A or old friend, insert the whole document. And F9. F9 is shortcut for update. Or you can just right click and you'll find an update option. Click on update. So either way is fine. So any fields you have will get automatically updated. From table of contents to captions, references, anything will get updated. So previously I've shown you field codes. So that helps us now in creating sub-equations. This is the normal equation that we have seen now. Now I want sub-equations. So I've given this a small snippet of the code. We can just put this code in that insert field codes sequence. You can paste this, you will get that. Save it as a quick text. So next time when you insert, if it is 1.1, the next number should be 2. So in the sequence, it will get to 2 and it should start with A. So it starts with A. Next time when you insert, it will take B. Next time you want to insert only the without sub equations, you put it, it will pick up 1.3 automatically. Do not have to worry. So this kinds of solves majority of the issues with the equations. Cross-referencing, like how you cross-reference figures. I've given some explanation. I want to refer a figure. Go to references, cross-reference. What are all things you have as labels will appear here, figures, tables, or any other new labels you create. This is a small issue. I think it's a bug. They're going to finally do it. In the older editions, it has. I don't know if newer editions they fixed it. When you created the sub equations, it will be in white color. When you cross-reference it, just change it to black color. Once you change it, it's done. Next time it will not ask you. Change it once, it is okay. So that is kind of about equations. Any queries on this or any clarifications or any feedback, something?
Can you explain the equation numbering once? Maybe in a Word document.
Since you've asked, I'll pull it up. These files I think most of you must have received. So I'll pick it up here. I'm directly opening the template file. So insert text. This is quick parts. So that is quick parts. Auto text. And you find the thing called thesis equation. See here it shows an error because it tries to find a reference, but it's not able to find. It's a dynamically maintained references. So hit on this. It is in the first chapter, first equation. So it puts as 1.1. You can type whatever is your equation in LaTeX. No professional. Simple. If you want sub equations in auto text, you have sub equation start and sub equation continue or end. Because next one should not continue with 1.1, 1.1a, it should not come. I want 1.2a. So you need to start it. So if I give start, it takes us 1.2a. After that, if I want either continue or end, it is the same thing. It does not matter. So if I give this, it will be 1.2b. The next one, if I insert, if I can hit start, it will be 1.3a. So you can just continue whatever is your as per your choice. And you want to cross references, either you can use shortcut Control Shift C or go to references. Cross reference. See, the equations are already there. Whatever the equations I created, they are available here. Just select whatever you want and insert. It will insert the reference. Now, if I put one more here, insert auto text. The numbers have not changed. Either you can hit Control A and then update, or just select this. I'm hitting F9. So I hit F9. All of these are automatically changed. Even this is changed. So all of them are dynamically linked. You do not have to worry about it. Is this clear?
Yes, it's very clear. Thank you so much. I was looking for this for a long time.
Yeah, I understand. Many people had this issue. So this I've given in like 2019, and many people have used since then. But I think it should be further. Can you mute yourself? Somebody is.
Krishna, I gave you.
Okay. So then let's next go to the figures and tables. So I generally use MATLAB, and the best ways to put figures I mean, people who use LaTeX, EPS gives the best resolution on LaTeX for figures, especially when you generate from softwares like Python or MATLAB or whatever is this. And since they are vector based, you'll get, they won't occupy more size, but they give you whatever is the expanded resolution you want. Microsoft Word does not have compatibility for EPS, but there are other vector formats that are possible. You have EMF, enhanced Windows Metast. Sorry, I think I replaced the numbers. EMF, WMF, and SVG. All of these are possible to directly generate from MATLAB. I'm not sure about Python. It should be possible because I don't use Python. I know MATLAB. In MATLAB, you can generate all of this, and these work great in MS Word. Even when you save it as PDF, you do not lose any resolution at all. How much ever you zoom, you can still maintain the resolution. So, and basically, you do not occupy even more size in its KB or MB, whatever it is. You can still use PNG, which many people prefer, PNG or TIFF or other things, but if you want good resolution, you need to increase the file size, which might be deal breaker for many of you. So I generally don't use those things. I use only vector format. So it gives very good resolution and low size. Reading of text, that is fine. But if you want to position your text in a certain location, you basically have two options, either wrap or position. So what do you mean by that is, once you insert a figure under the picture format, the best one and the most probably the most commonly should be used style is inline with the text, because it treats the figure like a text. And if you add something or remove something, the figure does not move all over the place. It stays in that place. In that place means with respect to a paragraph. You add a paragraph above, this will move one paragraph below. That's all. If you use other things like tight or something, you change, when you add one full stop or one comma somewhere, the figure goes unpredictable. It can be in the next page or forward page or some other page, somewhere it can be. So the best one is inline with the text. And this is what you will find in the templates that are given. And position is you tell the figure where the position it should be, and it will go to the tight formatting. This is not always useful, but some special cases it is useful. Right now, we'll not complicate things. We'll just keep things simple. You can always go with the inline with the text. There is also another possibility. You place a figure in a page, and no matter whatever you do, the figure does not move from that place on that page. When you add text before you add, when you add paragraphs before the page, before that figure, does not matter. The figure stays on that location, exact location, absolute location. I'll come to how do you do that. So go to position, more layout options, you tell absolute position, and you give in centimeters or whatever is your units, from the margin, from the page border, or from the paragraph. You have options here. Select the option and say absolute, and it will stay there. One caution is, you see here a tick mark. Move object with the text. You need to remove the tick mark. If you remove the tick mark, no matter whatever text you add before or whatever you do before, all of them will go below and above the image, but the image will stay exactly on that page itself, on that location, on that page. It will not move unless you manually move it. So that is what is this, how powerful is this tick mark. But generally in our academic things, we want figures to be under some subheadings. And if you add a subheading before that, or you add paragraphs before that, you want it to move. So in all our templates, this is tick marked. That means if you add a paragraph before or a text before, it will move only the text. It will not go all over the place. So that is very important point to note. You can also, I mean, some of you might also use, might have some data, and those data are plotted in Excel, and you can link them to MS Word, basically to PowerPoint also you can link. So you change the data there. In Excel means the figure gets automatically updated. You do not have to copy and paste that figure again in Word. So just insert it as an object. Go to insert object, go to that file or whatever that Excel, if you're using an Excel file, go to that Excel file. It will ask you to link, select it, and you can insert the image. You change the data in the Excel file, the figure gets automatically updated here. The only catch here is you should not delete that Excel file, or you should not change the location of that Excel file because it looks in that location specified here. If that is met, it'll always keeps on updating if ever you make a change in your Excel file. Captions, again, it is easy. Right click on a figure, insert caption, it will insert a caption. By default, it will have some kind of formatting. If you do not want that formatting and want to use your own formatting. Previously, I showed you for headings, how do you create styles? Create a style, insert it here. I mean, once you create a caption, just click on that style. It'll be good to go. It'll adapt. Cross-reference, again, reference. Under references tab, you'll find cross-reference, or shortcut is Control-Shift-C. Find this, go to figure, and you can insert it. Same cross-referencing and inserting captions is same for figures and tables. So I can put it separate. To insert tables, insert table, and you can choose, or of course add later also columns and rows, but you can choose whatever you want in the beginning. If you see here, you can also insert an Excel sheet. So it will look like a table here, but it will create a new Excel sheet within the Word file. So you can edit that, and if any figures are linked to that, figures also get automatically updated. So you copy a table from Excel and paste it here. And if you want to maintain the reference, do not just paste it. Paste, link, and use destination style. Destination style means the styles in your Word document, but it will maintain the link to Excel file. It won't lose that. So when you insert it in this way if you want to maintain a reference. Else insert in the normal ways. That's all. Now some papers or journals and other things, they mandate that if the tables are long and span more than one page, the headings also should be automatically done. So you do not have to type them manually every time. Once you insert a table, just select the table. In the layout, repeat header rows. So whenever the table extends to a new page, it will automatically insert the headings, or whatever is there in the first row will be replicated on the new page. Then if you want to have manual height and width, you can do, or you can just, if you want equal height and width, you see this button here. If you click on this button, it will evenly space all the row heights. This one here is for evenly spacing all the column widths. So you can also use auto fit in a window if you want. I mean, if you want to fit it for the full page, or if some IEEE papers, they have 2 columns, and if you want a table to fit to a column, you can use fixed column widths. That is a very good advantage once you create a table and want to quickly format it. Now, this is a typical usage how you want a table in a landscape. So you see this page is landscape. We have a very big table, and the next page continues to portrait. The previous page is also portrait. So the trick here is you use a section break before and after, and only this section will change to landscape. This I will tell when we go to the word section, when we go hands-on to the word. So that is all about figures. Any queries, suggestions, open to that. Nobody, no queries on this? Hey, this is no lecture, it is only informal, so you're always free to speak something. There are no marks here or anything, so feel free.
I feel when we do an example or something, we will get more queries or something.
Okay, sure. So then let's continue with the breaks. So when the first one is the line breaks. We have so many available kinds of breaks that are there, which help you to achieve different kinds of specific tasks. The first one is line breaks. The typical usage is you have a paragraph with an indent, hanging indent. That means the first line is moved to right and the other lines follow the normal page margin. When you hit an enter, I mean, you want it to come here. You want to continue in the same paragraph. You just want it to be on a new line. And when you hit enter, it will go to a new paragraph. But you want it to be on the same paragraph, but on a new line. So this is what it looks like. When you hit shift plus enter, it's a line break. You see the line has changed, but it is within the same paragraph still. This is true even in when you have bullets or numbering. You write a big bulleted point and you want something to be on the next line, but within the same bullet. You use a line break. Page breaks, very easy as the name goes. Once you insert a page break, whatever you type next will be on the new page. You type anything prior to that, this space only gets reduced until this page break changes the page. If this page break goes to the next page, this page goes blank. Any text after that will go to the new page. So until this page break, it will maintain that. Same thing as even in LaTeX course. Now comes section breaks. So section breaks, you can find it in layout, breaks, and this next page means it will create a section page and it will start whatever you want to do on a new page. Continuous means it will create a section break, but you can continue in the same page. But why are the section breaks used? There are multiple usages. You can change page numbers. For example, in our thesis, if you see the first parts, that means the acknowledgement, thesis certificate, those all kinds of stuff, basically the front matter kinds of stuff. You have those are in the page numbers are different. Those are in Roman numerals. I mean Roman numbers. Other things will have Roman numerals. So 1, 2, 3 is what you have here. The other one is in the other format. So create a page section break there and you create different page numbers on either side. Different headers and footers. You see many textbooks or even theses from so-called other good universities. They have headers and footers specific for each chapter. If you have a chapter called introduction, all the pages in the introduction page will have heading as, the header as introduction. If you go to chapter 2, call it as literature review, let us say. All the pages within the chapter 2 will have literature review as their header. So that is one of the advantages. Even the same thing with the textbooks or whatever it is. Then portrait and landscape. What we have seen in the previous. If you have a very big figure or a very big table you want to insert, put section breaks, change the page to landscape, insert whatever you want, and continue writing after the section break. So some journal papers like IEEE or some other things, they have 2-column format. So you can insert a column break. So you see this is a continuous text here, but now I broke the column. So whatever I write after the column break will be on the next column once I insert the column break. So typically you would be using when you want to maintain a complete paragraph in a column. You do not want to break the continuity or for whatsoever the reason. Then you have odd and even pages. That is about the breaks. Any doubts here? Any queries, clarifications? Okay, if there are none, we'll go to table of contents and references. So easiest way to insert table of reference, table of contents is references, table of contents. You have few pre-formatted table of contents, but if you want to have something specific of your own, you could even create that. You can going by custom table of contents. So here you can select either from templates or you can create manually. If you go to options, you can create them manually. Now I have created different styles. If you see in the, if you remember in the previous sections, take for example our thesis only. All the chapters will have the numbering, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, so on. The other things like table of contents, table of figures, acknowledgement, so on, they do not have numbering. So it which makes obvious that you need to create two headings for them, heading styles. But both of them should be on same level in table of contents. So that is why I choose them as the level as 1. If you want to select, if you want to change formatting for that, select that particular level and you can modify. Like if you want to bold them or if you want to make them all caps, irrespective of how you type it, or you want to adjust the spacing, whatever you want, you can just do it here. So basically how you create that, it's based upon heading 1. So whenever you add that here, this also will comes there. Now we have table of figures and table of tables. So that again, you can get it here. References under captions, you'll find insert table of figures. Same thing is true even if you want to insert table of tables also. Just change the label name. Here you can see it is changing the table name. If it is figure, you put it as figure. Table if it is table. You can also insert table of equations if you want. So nobody uses, but if you have something, some other label, let us say, even that you can insert. Now comes the interesting part, references. In LaTeX, many people know there are some packages for that. In Word, default comes with a citation and bibliography tab here, which is kind of not cool, even in the latest versions. But Mendeley is very good. And you can select, in both of the cases, you can select whatever is the citation and bibliography styles you want. Preferably Mendeley is better most of the times because of so many additional capabilities. Our thesis style closely matches with American political science because when you are citing, you need to have the author name and the year. And in the bibliography, the author name should be bolded. The article or the publisher should be italics. And you need to have the page numbers, DOI, whatever you want. The closest one is this, but this does not have the bibliography style you want. You can modify that in Mendeley basically. So this is the modified one. Once you modify, it will add a tag. By default, it's your name, or if you want to add something else, you can add that. Now, if I select this, you see this is bold. Publisher is italicized. Journal number is bold again. Do not have to do it manually. You can create a style and save it. How do you do that? Is you can go to this link. You need to have Mendeley account basically. Select whatever is the style you want to modify. I chose your American political science. You can also choose American psychological science. It is similar, just that its citation style is different. Bibliography is exactly same. Citation style is slightly different. So I chose this. It is interactive. So select the authors and I bold it. And other things basically. I want this to be italicized, italicize it. This to be bold again. Journal number should be bold. So I bold it. Issue number. then save it. It will save with your name. You can also, it will also reflect in your Mendeley desktop app, either on Windows or Mac or whatever you're using. It will reflect even there. Just select that and it'll reflect. If you know CSS coding, you can also edit with CSS coding and upload it. I don't know CSS coding, to be frank. I generally use this GUI thing if at all I want to create a new style. But it has a very huge library of available lists. You can, most of the times you can find one directly. If you do not find, this is the way. This style is available public, what I created for thesis. You can download it from here and add it to your Mendeley list. So you can go to in Mendeley view citation style, more styles. If you go, it will come, and there you can paste this link. It should download the style automatically. Yeah, more styles, get more styles, and copy paste the link here and download. It will get you the style, and whenever you are using it, just use that style to insert the bibliography or citation. Now, many times you might find that Mendeley does not correctly recognize the titles or authors or publication things and so on. You might have to manually do it, or for whatever is the reasons. Google Scholar is one good way. It will give you the citation in a bib format, bib text format. So you can get them, paste it in notepad, change the extension to .bib basically, and import it. So now all of them, of course, the PDF files may not be there because it may not have on your disk physically, but all of the references are still available in your Mendeley account, and you can freely use them to cite and use the bibliography. So this is one of the very powerful advantages. So that is about table of contents and references. Any queries on this? No.
So hi, I have this one. So I'm trying to use the templates which you have created, but it's asking for a password for DOTM, and I have saved this as docx doc format, and when I'm trying to even make some changes, so every time it's asking password for docx.
Yeah. See, it is a DOTM, that is document template with macros. So what I've shown you, all those stuff where you create numbering with equations and so on, all those things comes under macros. I mean, you can create even more complex macros, but
okay.
So this is basically a template. It is not a document. You should not change the extension to docx.
Okay, no, I've just opened this document.
No, I'm just coming. I'm just coming.
Read-only mode, yes.
So I mean, you have anyway preempted, so I'm telling that. I'll open a new one.
Yeah. So I didn't change the extension. So what I've done is I've opened this.
So if you just open
saved it, yeah, and I have saved it as docx. Yeah.
As soon as you open it, it'll ask for a password. This password is only to edit the template.
Okay.
It is not for your document. You are the owner for your document. Whatever you want to do, you can do with your document. The password is just to protect the template from any accidental changes. That's all. Only the template. The document is unprotected. It is up to you if you want to protect your document.
No.
You can hit read only, and it will create a new document. It will create a new document. Now this document is yours completely. You can do whatever you want.
No, I saved this document after opening DOTM, and even after saving the document, when I open the same document, it's still asking for password.
Just give read only and continue. That is because, I mean, I don't know which version you're using, but in the latest versions, it will not ask. Even if the template has a password, for the document, it won't ask.
No, I'm using on Mac. It is asking.
Okay, Mac I haven't tested, but it does not matter. You just give read only and continue. That password is only for the template. It will no way affect your document.
Okay. Yeah. So every time read only is a little bit difficult, right?
Okay. But be rest assured, it will not affect your document in any way. It's only for the template.
Okay.
Yeah. So finally, some icing on the cake. Now, some of you might say that I'm losing resolution when I save it to PDF. Save as to PDF, basically. There are other ways to improve resolution. You could have, you could actually print it to a PDF. There are third-party printers like Foxit. Foxit is very good. You have a PDF reader, you have a PDF editor, and also PDF printer. Everything is included. It's free anyway. Editor is not free, but other things are free. You can get it. Then you can select what is the resolution in DPI, dots per inch. Some journals specifically ask that images should be 600 DPI, and some say 600 DPI or less, but your image may not be 600 DPI. So once you go here in Foxit, you can, if you have Foxit, you can basically tell like I want 600 DPI, 1000 DPI, 1200 DPI. So the full PDF will be exported to that specific resolution. Then whenever you paste an image, some of you know that in WhatsApp also, if you put figures or photographs or images, whatever it is, the resolution decreases because of bandwidth issues. Word also basically does it automatically. If you don't want to do it, file options, and all of this I'm showing under file and options. You can go to advanced, and you can say that for this document, do not compress the images and make it as high fidelity. If you select this, it will show three things: 100 DPI, 200 DPI, 300 DPI, something it will show. Put it as high fidelity, it will keep it at whatever is the resolution that you pasted with. Then you might have some, when you paste very big figures or images with large amount of size, your images, your system might get slow trying to open them. In such case, what you can do is you do not have to display the image. You can just show that there is an image. Unless you want to remove it and paste a new one. But if you're just editing the text around it, you do not have to show it all the time. It just consumes a lot of your PC resources. So you can just put a placeholder there saying that there's an image here with such and such a name. That is what this picture placeholder says. So you do not consume resources for displaying the image, especially if you do not have a GPU. Then this is basically if you are writing some assignments, you call our basic, our best friend Google or Reddit, Stack Overflow, something where solution is already there. You want to copy paste it, but when you paste it, you will find that the text is formatted as it is there in the website, but you want your assignment to be in a certain format, or the styling and other things. Every time changing the format and all might be cumbersome. So you can just select here, keep the source formatting or keep destination formatting. So when you copy from a different source and you paste it here, you can automatically always make it as a destination. That means the template within the current document. So it kind of basically save time, especially when you have to submit it at midnight 12 and you started at 11:30. This formatting can help you a lot. Now, this is also a very common occurrence. When you're doing a document for long and it might suddenly crash and you realize that you haven't saved it yet. So Word basically automatically saves the documents once in 10 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever it is. You can basically decrease the time to 1 minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes. So it saves it more frequently, and the risk of losing your changes in your document will be much less. Now there's a format painter. This also helps a lot when you want to, let's say you created some formatting with some colors, with some font size, font type, font type and other things. you just want to make the same look and appearance onto a different part of your document. Select the text or whatever is that, figure or table or whatever it is, select it. Click on this format painter. And then select the target where you want to do it on a let's say on a different page or a different section, whatever. The same formatting will be copied to that exactly. Only the formatting, your text will still remain same. So this helps a lot. Then I told you about the fields. Sometimes they may not get updated. And when you are taking printouts, of course, now it is pandemic, so you do not require to physically submit thesis or synopsis, whatever it is, and do not have to worry about fields not getting updated. But if you have to take manually printouts and other things, and so after taking printout, if you realize some numbers are not updated or the figure captions are not updated, you cannot go on again taking a reprint. It's kind of a waste of resources if you are worried about the environment. So you can just select update fields before printing. So whenever you print, it will automatically update even if you don't explicitly ask for it, it will automatically update all the fields and keeps it. So that you can select it by default. Then you might do a lot of cut, copy, paste, and you might forget what you might want what you have pasted previously to be accessible now. You can go to here. Under the home clipboard you have, click on this, a clipboard dialog box opens. Here you can find what are all the things that you have copied from a different source or from within the document. Basically whatever is there on your copy list. So you can just click on it and you can paste it wherever you want again. It maintains the full list until you close this document. You can also access it by the search bar. Newer versions have the search bar on the top. So you can basically search for anything. All of the commands that are available in the Word, if it is available, it directly pops up, or else you can look up for the internet. So I search here clipboard appears. So click on this again, the same dialog box opens. Then field codes, there is so much details about field codes. Let's not worry about too much about that. But whatever is done now should be sufficient for most of the use cases that we'll encounter. That's all for the presentation. If you have any doubts, one or two we can take, or I'll explain how do we use our Word document, or basically our template. Okay, I guess there are no doubts. So we'll go here. So this is the brand new template that I've just opened. Now there are very few interesting things that you need to know. You see this kind of name appears at the top called a title. So these are basically the fields specific to a document. If I change the title here, it will reflect in all the places where this is there. So I'll put some other title, which I've changed just now. You have an inner title page. It gets updated here. It also get updated on your thesis certificate also title, where you require a title to be. Same thing even in synopsis also. You need to put title somewhere, put the first page, and wherever the title is required, it gets automatically updated. Similarly, Doctor of Philosophy I put here. Now if you want to change to something else, you can change it and it will reflect in all other places wherever you have put it. Similarly, the name. So some of you might wonder, as soon as you open the document, it might show your name. And you might think that I have hacked your computer, that how do I know your name to give your document your name? I don't know. I just give it as the field of the name. It picks up the name from here and puts it there. So you change there, it will reflect in all the places wherever you have given the name as this one. Same thing goes with this. First time you open, this will get updated and it will stay there. And the consequent times, if you want to leave it, you can leave it. or if you update and if you open it next month and update it, it will automatically update to August. If you don't want to do it, just type it normal. And the most important thing that is this. This, of course, I've given in the chapter also. So I've shown there are a lot of section breaks. There are a lot of formatting options that are going on all around the place, and you might not want to accidentally delete any of them. So if you click on this, you see there are so many things that appear. A dot is for a space. This is for an enter. If you see a section break here. If you delete the section break, if the page number here is in one format, page number here starts at 1. If you delete the section break, it will completely collapse this whole thing. This is 9. Once you update it, this will collapse. So when you are deleting some text, make sure that you do not delete any of these breaks, especially the section breaks. See, this starts at 10 now. It's not 1. It should ideally be 1. Section break is up here. No, most of the document is self-explanatory. Wherever it is required, I've given the text that needs to be done. So all the styles that you need to use are here, and the names are self-explanatory. So if you want to create a new chapter here, let us say, new chapter. Do not have to worry so much. Just click on this chapter. It will create a new chapter. You might worry where is the number. So that is where the numbering it is there in the heading 1. The chapter 1 is without the numbers. That means for this acknowledgement, abstract, all the stuff. You want it with number, go to the heading. If you want this to be chapter to be on one line, this to be a new line, use a line break. If you hit enter, it will create a new chapter. Instead, you should use shift enter, which is for line break. So that is this. Now see, these numbers are automatically I created chapter number 2. So 2.1, 2.2 is automatically changed. The rest are also changed automatically. Now sometimes you write in a certain flow and your guide suddenly comes and says your chapter 3 should be chapter 2 and chapter 2 should be chapter 3. It happens many times. So in that cases, you can go to view, navigation pane. This is a navigation pane that opens up basically this. Don't worry about cut, copy, paste, and so on. Drag this and put it up here. So 2 becomes 3, 3 becomes 2, or the order basically changes. And you see all the numberings within that also change automatically. So with including the equation numbers and everything. So these are the different types of styles that we have. Heading 1 is chapter heading. Heading 1 is the level 1 heading. Level 2 heading. Level 3 heading. This other thing is not required. For title is on the title of the title page. These other things are not required. I mean, I just left it if you want to change and use them for your usage. Then coming to figures, you see, when I select this figure, I applied this style because I want it to be centered. I want to have a gap before and after. So I right click, modify. I have added some spacing before and after the figure so that I have some gaps. Similarly for caption, you have a figure caption and a table caption, because after the figure caption, you need a lot of space before you begin the text. But after table caption comes the table. So you should not have that much of space. So that is why you have figure caption and table caption. So I'll just quickly paste some image and get to know. Now, if I paste it here, select figure, it automatically puts in line with the text. So you add above and below content, it will change. Now, because this goes out of margin, that is, it has put it onto a new page. So now size is within the margin, so it comes within the, it's on figure now. To insert a caption, insert caption. If you do not find this chapter number dot that serial number, go to the numbering and make sure that include chapter number is selected. Then something. That is my figure. So it is all over the, the text is not proper. So figure caption makes the figure caption to be aligned with the formatting. Now some of you might ask, how do I do subfigures? Best is use a table. So that's why I inserted a table here. Paste both of them and insert a caption normally. So that will take care of subfigures. Then update of fields, Control A and hit F9. All of the fields get updated, including table of content. So it lasts whether you want only page numbers or you want to update even the headings also if you have changed them. So this is for table of figures. Previous one is table of contents. Table of tables anyway did not change, so it won't change. What else is there? Right. Now these comments, most of you might knowing. If you go inside review, you can track changes, whatever is the editing that you do. It says what is the editing done. If you want to add a comment, you can add comment. Multiple people can work together. If you are signed into any of the Microsoft accounts, multiple people can edit the same document online. So you can just share this document with somebody, and once they are signed in, you will see one more person appearing here who is currently editing. And if you have enabled track changes, you will see that person's name editing here. I mean, if they put something or if they change anything, it will reflect automatically. There's one catch here. If you are using domain specific things, that means if you are using your Smail account and you share it with somebody, they also need to be using an Smail account. They cannot use a personal account. If you use personal account, the other person can use anything else. But if you use a university account, that is Smail, or if you are working in a company and use a company mail to sign in, if you share it and want online live editing, the other person also need to be using the same domain. So I can remove that. So see here, there's no, I mean, the gap is minimal here. So that's why I use the table caption. Break pages and there's one more thing. So you'll see landscape page. When I want to insert a landscape page, I insert a section break. This is a portrait. I have a section break here. I put a landscape, my content here. And after that, there's again a section break. Now, if you see only for this page, it is landscape. That is only for this page. If you go here, it will be portrait. So that is how you create landscape pages. And equations I've explained. There are only 3 equations that are there. I mean, 3 equation types under insert quick parts. auto text, you have thesis, equation that gives you with the number, sub equation start and sub equation end. That is how you put up. Okay, now equation fonts. I mean, in the Google form, few people have mentioned that they like the font in the LaTeX. Whoever said so are on the same page with me. I also like the font in the LaTeX. I really do love that. You can download that fonts. They're available as OTF, OpenType format, OpenType font. When you insert an equation, you can actually change it. Select this. Latin math, modern math. That is what is used in LaTeX. It will see as LM math, maybe in shortcut. So you see it's changed to LaTeX format. So this is Times New Roman. Some of you might know that here also we have, should have Latin somewhere. LM Roman. LaTeX again, LaTeX font. Some of you might know who use Beamer. It uses another font called LM Sans. Beamer, this is what the font is. It's all freely available for downloads. You can just Google it and you can get those fonts downloaded. In one for equations, you insert once and change the equation once for all. It will be applicable for all the equations thereafter. So you can go to design. By default, it is Cambria Math. I can choose Latin modern. So the equations will change after this when I apply. Right. Now coming to references. As I said, you have this one that is there within your Mendeley. Now, once you insert bibliography, you might find that this will have an hanging indent. So after you insert all your bibliography, just select all of this. And to put it in our thesis font size, font and other things, go to home, you find these references. If you click on that, you'll get this numbering direct and it will be adjusted to Times New Roman with 12 font size. All of them will be directly there. So once you insert, just select this. That's it for this template. Have any queries on this? Nobody? No queries on this? Okay, great. If there are no queries. There is one more, you will find a template called word presentation. So this is also another template, but useful to make presentations. You know, in PowerPoint, you cannot insert equations as easily. Like in Word, you can put LaTeX equations, but in PowerPoint, you cannot put LaTeX equations. In Word, you can have Mendeley reference Mendeley manage your references and citations and bibliography, but PowerPoint you do not have. So this template addresses exactly that. Almost built like Beamer. Everything is the same, except that your heading number 1 will be invisible. It will be visible on the every page of your heading 1. So you create a heading 2, it will be here. Then all the other things will follow prior to that. You also have highlight boxes, which are typical. If you use Beamer, you know these boxes are very good for highlighting your content. These are again available in insert. quick parts if we go. Okay, you can save this to auto text, save selection to gallery. Maybe you can name it as blue box. If you want to insert that anywhere in your go here. Okay, it not show previously, it is updated now. So all these things are automatically built for you already. There is red box without a title, blue and green also same. Also have the equations again with numbering, with and without chapter numbering. So all those things are automatically built in, pre-built in your template file. Just use it wherever you want, whatever is the content you want. You change the heading, the title in the front, all the title, the name, date, everything gets automatically updated. The only thing you need to do is print it as a PDF and you're good to go on your presentation. Just like how do you do in your Beamer, that's all. This is made for 4:3 ratio because our projector in the conference room, that is 103, is the projector is 4:3 ratio, but now you're online and if your laptop is 16:9, just change the page sizes and other things like how we have seen in the beginning of the presentation. You can change to 16:9 ratio and all the things will adjust. So that concludes the presentation. If you have any queries, I'm open, or else we can conclude it.
Have you shared these files before, or you will share it after the presentation?
Means I not get you. Saved
means,
in the
shared means the documents you have opened just now in.
These are the same things that are available to you on the Google Drive folder. It's the same files, same template files. Whenever I open a template file, a new Word document will be created.
So where it is available, I repeat.
I think you must have received a mail from CDC Research. There will be a link in that. You should be able to find that.
Okay, means I have not find, that's why I was. Okay, can you share it in the WhatsApp group? Maybe that's the better idea.
Which WhatsApp group are you on?
You're part of which WhatsApp group? Study group, huh?
Yeah, study group.
Okay, yeah, in that group I'll send.
Okay, thanks.
So basically, these templates will have institute templates where you have MS, PhD, synopsis, and thesis. Few set of instructions in the README text file. Department templates, so that is Comp 3, Seminar 1, Seminar 2, 699, of course. These are on ED. If you're on different department, you might have similar things. There is no specific format for them. If you want, you can use the same thing. Since these are equivalent to an MS degree, the templates are built from the MS template, MS thesis template. If you want, you can change them. That is up to you. But there is no hard and fast rules given like that for thesis and synopsis templates.
These templates are shared in the department websites. That's what you want to say.
Sorry?
These templates are shared over the department websites, institute department websites.
I don't think so. They are available on department websites.
Okay.
Currently, they are on the Google Drive folder. I think people are trying to get permissions to put it on the institute websites. Should be able to find them shortly.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other queries?
Yeah, I saw
Yes.
Gayatri. Yeah, cool.
Okay, sir, thank you for the presentation, sir. My doubt is this is something that I often face. For example, now I have created a word with certain layout, with certain margins, and I've created chapter, subchapter, section, subsection. Everything is set. Now, if I want to change the layout, as in change the margins and all of that, sometimes what happens is the entire section, subsection, that alignment shifts completely. I don't know if I am doing it wrong, or if that is the case with the word. Could you please highlight few points for that?
Yeah, the main thing that the problem is when you create sections and you apply the new formats, you need to be specific whether you want to apply to a section or to the whole document. So if certain sections have different formatting and certain sections have another thing, and you change for one section, and for example, see, if now I change, I have put a section break previously. So it by default asks whether if I change anything here, I want it for this section only.
Okay.
Or if you want to apply for the whole document. If you apply for whole document and two sections are not compatible, you will have things go crazy.
Okay. So what I do is I usually select the entire document and then do this margin layout and all. Maybe that's the problem.
Selecting the document, I mean, selecting the entire document or not selecting, that does not matter.
Okay.
What matters is apply to current section or apply to the whole document.
Okay, yeah, got it. Thank you.
And I do you mean that when everything goes wrong, do you mean figures or what actually
it's usually the subsection. Suppose like the let's say I have one subheading, subheading, and then I have the content, the paragraph. Suppose in certain, like if there are this instruction that the paragraph should start at 0.5 or indentation, some indentation like that. Then what happens is if I change the layout, then after I have a certain layout, and if I want to change it to a different layout, even that paragraph changes completely. Either it misaligns or it goes left.
Yeah, I mean, you need not have to change. I mean, I think you mean subheading. It's not subsection.
Okay.
Because section means this is a section. For example, see, these are title pages. You see a section break. Yes. Because the margin of section, margin of title pages is bigger. Smaller, because this your title can overflow. So that is why the margin is much lower for title pages alone. Okay. All other pages, it is 31.7 mm. If you mean subheadings, these are the subheadings.
Yeah, sorry, I mean the subheading. Right. You're right. Yeah.
So if you want to change them, you do not. You change only the styles here.
Okay, got it.
So if you want to change for this one, don't change for everything. Go here. This is on heading 3. You change only this one. So that will change all the subheadings having this style applied. Only them it will affect. Nothing else will get affected.
Okay, sir. Okay. So the same would be the procedure even for the content. As in now, if we say if PhD
yes.
for that as well.
Now, if you want this content is a normal format. If you want to change the spacing or the font size, just change this. Let us now change the font to LM Sans. See, the whole content will change to LM Sans.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Right. Sir, at the same time, can you please show what happens if I change the layout? Like
layout means what layout you want to change specifically.
Okay. Just a minute. So when I go to margin, there is normal, narrow, moderate, wide. So these are all the.
If you apply this, it will apply to the whole document, which you might not want to do it.
Okay, so will that also affect these these things?
Yes, it will affect everything.
Okay.
These you might want to use only when there are no sections and when multiple things do not change. For example, here, as I said, title pages are a different section. Acknowledgement abstract, these are a different section. The contents are a different section. Appendix is a different section. So in this case, I wouldn't never venture to change margins as a whole.
Right. Okay.
So in all your documents, pay attention to, once you click this, pay attention to where you have page breaks, section breaks. See if there is section breaks here, there are page breaks. So pay attention to them. If, most 99% your misalignment happens because of these only. I mean, if these are misplaced.
Okay. Understood, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, so whomever is still on the call, can you please fill that poll which I've sent in the chat?
The chat?
Yeah, I was chatting to myself.
Okay. This form is not for me then.
Yeah.
Could you also share the presentation?
Yeah, I'll do that. I think Vamika can help. I'll share it to her. She will put it up on the common platform.
Yeah, okay. I actually have a general question. Like, how did you start learning all this? Like,
How did I start
quite
learning
a
it?
lot of information, right? So how did you learn? Did you learn this from someone else, or you just learned it by exploring?
Partly by exploring. I mean, not partly. The majority by exploring, because in my research things I had multiple needs and all of them could not be attended once and by the same thing. For example, the classic thing is research papers or other things, generally people wanted to write it in LaTeX. So when I first joined, I thought of I should learn LaTeX. But my guide wants it in Word because he can use the comments and the review tracking, all those things. He want to use it in Word. And my seniors advised, if you use Word, you'll face a lot of difficulties because things will go off place. You'll have misalignment problems, this, that. Again, I don't want to learn LaTeX because LaTeX was completely new for me. Word I used for some time, I know something is known. So then I started building myself. I had built a lot of templates. I mean, those templates what I've created long back are still being used. So this thesis template is being done from almost 3 or 4 years. So all our lab people, they are still use the same template right from there. There are even some other templates. For example, I can show you one thing. Yeah, we make some kind of apps in MATLAB that is also for industrial use and other things. So this is how a lab manual also looks like. No, a software manual looks like, created completely in Word, and it goes as a help document with the app that we have created.
Cool.
So, I mean, I want my thesis to look like this with a lot of formatting, but unfortunately, we do not have that. So you see, if I have my title as installation guide, it will have that here also. If I change that user guide, this also will change automatically. If you pay attention, these are all different sections created. This also changes, and the title appears on every page, so on. There are multiple templates that are available. Even one of the recent one is some time back. We had a template for MATLAB. So as in the beginning, I've told, we have a lot of raw data. We need to process it and we need to submit some reports. Every time creating figures, copying them in a PowerPoint or in a Word and then writing is a big headache. Instead, I just generate the figures. I mean, I just write a code, link it with a .m file in Microsoft Word, and ask MATLAB to fill the figures. It will fill the figures and give me excellent templates.
Yeah, this was actually very interesting, and yeah, it will take some time to capture all of this information. Cool. Yeah, so anyone else has any questions or you want to ask something?
Mr. Krishna, it was a very informative session. Can you suggest some good YouTube channel where we can get a good grip over this word processor, or some self-study material?
I do not follow any YouTube channels or something. But there is this one guy from Microsoft who has resigned from Microsoft and is now a full-time YouTuber. His name is Kevin Strawert. He basically discusses many kind of tips and hacks on all Microsoft products like Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Outlook, all those things. You can follow that. That should be a good one. Apart from that, I don't remember because I generally don't watch all of this guy. I know because through some context I got to know. So that's a good informative source.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, actually, I thought you will also speak about how you created that animation effects like zoom and stuff.
Where? Which one?
Like when you were presenting, you had some animation, right? Like
Oh, in
zoom.
PowerPoint.
Yeah.
This should be very interesting. Okay. Giving PowerPoint might be another lecture, but I'll show you a very short thing. So previously, when you want to create animations, you need to go to animations and do a lot of stuff, which might be so very time consuming. So the PowerPoint also has a feature to create sections. So if you see, these are the different sections I have. These are the sections and one slide which summarizes all the sections. You can go to insert, zoom, summary zoom. So it will take the first slide in all the sections and put it up here with the hyperlinks. So whenever you run your presentation and you hit a section start, it will show up this page first and it will zoom into that section. I mean, there are so many things which you can do with these three options in the zoom itself. There are so many things you can do.
Okay, cool.
And
Yeah.
between the slides, the best animation, I mean, no need to use animation. The best thing to use is a morph transition, which basically you can use it for animation. So many things you can use it to.
Cool. Yeah, I thought like I've seen some templates which don't have any animation effect, but the flow of the slide itself will be like in the form of animation. So I thought you did something like that. I didn't know that we have this inbuilt option to.
Yeah, this is the morph will help in most cases. You do not have to create any animations. It will automatically take care.
Okay. Cool.
There's some more details on morph where you can use some hacks to create animation kind of things, but they are not actually animations. I mean, you can do it very fast.
Okay. Cool.
One more doubt. So when we present equations during a presentation, so is there a way we can highlight some parts of the equation, like we do in Keynote?
You're asking in Word or PowerPoint?
In PowerPoint, because
in PowerPoint, first of all, writing equations itself is tough because you need to pick and place from here. But nonetheless, you can do it and you can insert. I mean, you can create in Word and copy paste that here, which should help. And can insert boxes and set their opacity. And then you can add animations on top of that. If you want an example, pull out an example. Just hold a second. Where is that file gone? Okay. Yeah, you're able to see my screen, right?
Yeah.
So this is some of you in vehicle dynamics field might know magic format type. So I have an equation. You want to highlight parts? You mean something like this?
Yeah.
So that is what you create the boxes you want, either squares or circles or whatever. You change its opacity, place them wherever you want, and select the animations. If you want to reorder them, you can just drag top and bottom. That will reorder the animation accordingly. When you can create all the animations first, just reorder them there properly. That's all. That will take care.
Thank you. So can you show it like this? Is this a presentation or a PDF file?
This is a presentation, and I don't think I can show the content in this, so that's why I just showed the slide. But it is simple. You just create this box, put the text whatever you want, add an animation. I mean, once you create all the boxes, add the animations.
Okay.
And then just rearrange. I mean, you'll have the animation pane right on the right side.
Yeah.
Just pull up and down. That's all.
Okay.
Hi, sir. Thank you for the presentation. I had a doubt that you were saying that we could break the presentation into sections previously. How to do that?
PowerPoint.
Yeah, a PPT presentation.
So we can just right click in between any of the two slides. We'll get an option to kind of irritates sometimes. We'll get an option to create a new section. Once you create a section, you can add any number of slides inside that section.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
So you right click and okay, this is protected now. So if you want to insert a section here, I would right click, add section. So it creates a new section. Create a section name. This is a new section now. Now if I insert summary zoom here, it will by default pick the very first slide of the section, and if it will give you an option, whichever the slides you want to show there. If I just use the default one, see this here is where I created a new section, so it puts the first file there. These also have hyperlinks. Just click on that, it will take you to that slide directly. Any other queries?
So last query. So are you aware of any tools similar to this in Linux?
Linux, I'm not aware of. I know there is LibreOffice, but I never used it.
Okay.
Krishna, can you suggest some of the softwares that can increase its usability of the words for our research?
Sorry, I could not hear you properly.
Actually, my query is that can you suggest some of the software that can further enhance the usability of the Word for PCs use?
You want additional software to use with Word?
Yeah, can you suggest some of the which can be beneficial?
If you are using See, Visio is one very good software, MS Visio, but you need to get license. You can get it subscribed, or I mean, it depends on, you might get a subscription for your lab, depending on if your guide allows it. But Visio is very good. You can create very good figures from that, and it can suit even LaTeX, Word, PowerPoint, for any of them with very high resolution. I mean, you can create vector files basically. So low size, high resolution, very good figures you can get.
Okay.
For example, let's bring up one. It has multiple. For example, if I open this, sorry, laptop is a bit slow, but it'll open up faster. So this image, now we can save it either as a PNG file or EMF, WMF, EPS for LaTeX if you want to use, or any of these formats you can export, and it will give you very high quality images. So all of this you can find within the library. You see there's a fluid library available where I have you see the valves and other things like pressure relief and pressure, all those things, valve assemblies, 2-way, 3-way. You also have electrical, so you have a lot many stuff here. So basically, maybe for your research, I think you are asking like for creating papers or for thesis, you can create excellent figures from this. Apart from this, I don't find any other softwares which you might need for our work. Visio, if you ask me, is one of the best things that you can have. So this whole figure is created only from Visio, and it gives very good clarity. So zoom, you will never lose the resolution. Does that answer you?
Yeah, I got it. Actually, I used to use all things on MATLAB. So the resolution there's a issue in MATLAB. So it will work.
Sorry, MATLAB, what is the issue?
Actually, I used previously I used to follow the MATLAB things, all the things to mostly used to things on MATLAB. So
okay,
I think it will be more useful.
Yeah, MATLAB also, I mean, all these our other figures, MATLAB can generate very good resolution. Just need to know how to code to get a resolution. There are a few templates on that also.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Can you spell the word Visio? What Visio? What spell?
VISIO. Visio.
Okay.
Okay, I think we are well beyond time. If you have any queries, you can still mail me. I will. That link should be there in this thing, and so then we can conclude now.
Yeah. So thank you so much for the very impressive presentation and like patiently answering everybody's queries. I think we completed the session at 6:20, right? Like almost, and we have done a lot of time on QA. So I think everyone who joined have liked the session. That's why they have stayed so long. Yeah, so we'll publish this in Scholar portal and also in YouTube sometime. So everyone can watch the recording also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you again.
Thank you all everybody for joining.
Bye.